Good morning. Good morning. How y'all be? If you're watching the replay, go ahead and say hashtag replay or hi or something. Or tell me the weather. What's the weather like where you're at? It's about to be the most beautiful day today. I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of wish I was, by the pool soaking up the sun, but I got meetings today, so I'll go ahead and adult up. I will adult up. So the very first verse that I dove into was Matthew 6:33. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. All these things. Go ahead and just look up in your Matthew 6. That's the New Testament, very first book of the Bible, very first book in the New Testament, chapter 6, and read what he's talking about. Read what he starts with. Read about the worries of the day. Read about the necessities that he knows you need. Read about that, and then watch how he ends it by saying, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and everything you just read about will be added to you. Isn't that a beautiful promise? How often do we try to do things in our own right, in our own means? How often do we grip what we have so tightly when really he just wants us to trust in who he is? Now, let me just speak to those of you who may not know him intimately. It's hard to trust somebody you don't know. It's hard to trust somebody whose character you aren't familiar with, who you haven't had much interaction with, who you don't have rapport with. It's hard to trust. It's hard to let go. It's hard to release. Why? Because you know you. And even though you have let yourself down several times, even though you have promised yourself things and said things to yourself and not followed through, you still have more trust in your own self than you do in somebody who you don't have rapport with. And so I just want to encourage you today to tell him that. Tell him that. Say, you know what? Amber is talking about trusting you, and I don't even know where to start with that. Because what's so amazing about once you have that intimacy with him, once you know he's so beyond good for it, is that trusting him means that in the waiting season, you have peace because you know his timing is perfect. And in the go season, you have obedience because you know that he's got your back. And there is nothing more freeing than releasing yourself from all the pressures of this life. There is nothing more freeing than recognizing that he can do it far better than you. And I remember at this whole, and don't get me wrong, I have always liked to make money. I am an entrepreneur. I am a creative idea person. Give me a problem and I will give you a solution plus a scenario B, C, and D probably. It's just how I'm wired. Okay. So I have never felt bad about wanting to make money. But if you're going to be money focused, you must be God-centered. What does that mean? Well, whatever you focus on expands. So I want you to hear me in the best way. I want money to expand in your life. I want prosperity to expand in your life. So if you are going to be money focused, which means you're going to trust him for it, you're going to expect him to increase it, you are going to ask him for not only your needs, but abundance. Okay? Then we need to make sure we are God-centered. And we are God-centered. When we are God-centered, that means that we release it to him. We recognize that he can grow what we cannot. We recognize that he can multiply what we cannot. We understand and have knowing that he has strategies that we do not. But when we seek first his kingdom, and his righteousness, he wants to add all of it to you. Because then, as you focus on that income increasing, you're so Christ-centered that if he says, hey, I need you to go ahead and give that to that cause. I need you to give that to that person. You will not hesitate because you have sought first his kingdom and his righteousness. You have trusted him to expand and increase your territory, your income, and to prosper you greatly. And he will take what he has given to you. He will take what he has multiplied in your life. He will fill you. What is he going to fill you with? Well, of course he's going to fill your storehouses. Have you read the scriptures? He wants to do that. It gives him pleasure to watch you prosper. It gives him pleasure to see you embrace and just have good things. But when you are Christ-centered, those things are not what your world revolves around. See, people who love to make money often sacrifice family time. They often sacrifice rest, and they often, oh so often, sacrifice time in his presence. So instead, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all, not some, all these things will be added to you. That is a promise that you can take to the bank. Maybe a pun intended. So, are you ready to claim your promise? Are you ready to walk in prosperity? Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you.